just waiting for you to do, to do, to do,
Thank you for tuning in to episode 43 of the Brooklyn Fishing Club podcast. I'm your host, Victor Lucia, founder and president of the BFC. This episode is brought to you by Brooklyn Fishing Club, the premier fishing club of New York City. Join the club today and we'll send you 2 t-shirts, 2 pins, and a 60-inch BFC logo measuring tape. You'll also gain access to our private online forum, events, trips, and more. Visit brooklynfishingclub.com today and become a member of the greatest fishing club on the planet. Our next guest is someone that's been a member of the club for years. He's a world-famous chef, best-selling author, and an incredibly cool person. You might have seen him cooking up some good eats on your TV. And if you follow him on the gram, then you already know he's always outside, whether it be on the ocean or in the woods. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Brad Leone.
Pretty insane this year.
Yeah, tell me a little bit about it. I know you've been spearfishing, you've been catching, I saw you with a giant bluefin. I mean, you've been doing a lot.
Yeah, well, I've been up here. I left New Jersey, New York about a year and a half ago, and moved up on the coastal Rhode Island, Connecticut border there, right by like Watch Hill or Mystic or not too far from Providence, but right on the border where Connecticut meets Rhode Island. So we have access to open ocean, but then also like the Long Island Sound, Block Island Sound, all around Fisher's Island. And then, I got some buddies out here that are pretty dialed in the offshore game, which is rather new to me. So being able to go out with guys that have the gear, and then more importantly have, the know-how and the knowledge, and to go pull that off. Because it's a little different than going and catching a couple striped bass and some black sea bass or porgy or something, but when you're running off, 40, 50 mile, 100 miles, whatever it is, 1,000 feet of water, chasing these things that aren't even fish anymore. It's like hooking into a fucking cow, or like a water buffalo, like you can get hurt, people, you can die. It's just, I guess that's what I'm getting at. It's
a totally different world out there. It's like,
it's serious business, but man, it's been, I go out with a couple of my buddies here, Dan and Vinny, who kind of have a lot, tons more experience than me, thank God, than in that offshore category. So being able to go out there and, hook into some yellow fins, which have been awesome, and a bunch of bluefin tuna. My buddy's got a commercial license, so we got the ability to go out and catch some of these giants and stuff. Yeah, last year we caught, he catches a ton of them, but last year I went out with them and we caught a 600-pounder, which was amazing. And then this year I landed it was about 150-pound bluefin, rod and reel, and thing beat the shit out of me, man. My arms were smoked, and like in the bluefin world, like, it's a big fish, but it's like, it ain't that big of a fish, you know what I mean? But I just had it in the like a little holster, a little rod holder you strap or a little belt, rod belt.
Oh, you fought it stand up?
Yeah, stand up, and just kind of, just cranked them in, and it was awesome, man. What an amazing animal. And then recently got into just, still hitting the offshore beat. Got into, in the past couple of years, spearfishing, which has been really neat out there. You get into that, the beginning of the Gulf Stream there, where water starts to get a little bit more blue. People don't think of it, but it's just a whole nother world out there, man. It's like National Geographic show. All of a sudden there's whales everywhere and 400 porpoises just blitzing through, tuna underneath them, and we find all these like high flying buoys and leather cans and stuff like that. And you jump in the water, man, there's all types of life in there, including mahi, which are just awesome to eat, but then just really fun to shoot at too.
How many have you blasted?
I've shot in, I'm not sure. I've gone twice for the mahi so far, just because I don't run my boat out there, and like it's still new to me. So like when I can hop on something and give a day minimum to being out on the water, it's only been 2 times so far. But yeah, each time, man, it's basically like find the biggest bull, shoot his ass, and then if you want to shoot some other smaller, females or males, just they just kind of circle around and keep your eye out for the tax man, I guess, and yeah, it's a blast, man. It's like I said, I didn't grow up doing that, and it's all pretty new to me, but I'm so into it. I absolutely love it. It's catching them is awesome. I love fishing, always will. But like when you jump in the water with a spear gun, like you're not even fishing anymore. You're now hunting in a world where you can't breathe, and it's more than one plane. It's like 180-degree, like 3-dimensional plane. I know maybe that sounds weird, but it's like instead of like on land, it's like where it's just everything's on the ground. It's just like every one focal point where things are probably going to be. And I'm not really scared of too much shit on land besides grizzly bears and yeah, grizzly bears and mountain lions, I guess. Yeah. Mountain lions and moose and shit. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's plenty of things, North America anyway. But in the water, it's like, hey, you can't breathe, you can't walk, you can't run, you can't do shit. You're like the weakest, softest thing in the water. And I'm dressed like a fucking seal, and I'm just like kicking around with fins and all of a sudden, like this thing could be, by this thing I mean sharks. They could be anywhere, up, down, below you, and they're so fast and so dialed in that world. If they want you, you're screwed. But
yeah, they could take you in 2 seconds if they want.
Yeah, you're done if they wanted you. Luckily, they're not really too into us, besides like, it happens, I guess, but for the most part, they're just coming to check out what you're doing and looking for food, try to steal your fish, and hopefully not bite you. But again, I'm pretty new to this, and I got some friends that are really into it, and they see sharks all the time, and don't panic. I know it's easier said than done, right? Especially on land, it's easy to say what you want to do, but I guess the more and more you get exposed to them, the more comfortable you get and how to handle them and how to act. I haven't bumped into one yet, but I mentioned my buddy Vinny, who I do the offshore fishing and spearfishing with. He's kind of been my spearfishing buddy, and we kind of started together, which is cool. He recently was out there shooting mahi, chasing tuna, shooting mahi, just filling up from the grocery store out there. And then he was swimming, and he looked behind him, and it was just like pretty big hammerhead, just kind of cruising behind him and checking it out, and just, scary shit,
He's
like
just right there, right behind him all of a sudden.
Yeah, like you can't hear him, you can't see him, you like get this weird little spidey sense, and you look behind you, and like all of a sudden it's like this mega apex, just like checking you out. You're fucked, but then he just he disappeared, and that was it, and next week he was out there and he saw another one, and he said he like handled that one completely different. He was way more comfortable and less spooked, and kind of like like less like shark, and more just like being aware in the situation. And I don't know, like I said, I haven't had an experience yet, and I'm sure my first one I'll shit my pants first and then try to I don't know, whatever.
You'll only know when when it happens.
Yeah. But that's been really cool, man, and it's I really have been enjoying getting into it, and the selectiveness of the fishing is pretty cool, where it's like I don't need you to bite anything, I can pick which one I want, try to get them, and I really like that, and it's just fucking awesome. You're in the water, like spear guns are awesome, like there's just the technology is amazing. It's like bow hunting in the water, but yeah, it's really neat, and fish are cool, and it's like it's very, for me, it is kind of like bow hunting in the sense where it's like it's very like meditative, and like you get out of the water doing that, like you feel it's humbling. It's a very I feel like everyone should do it, man. It's pretty it's good for my mind, and and you get a healthy case of fear too. It puts you in check. Reminds you,
it definitely checks you.
Yeah, it reminds you you're pretty small and soft.
Absolutely. So let's bring it back to
yeah,
the beginning. Like how did you first get introduced to the outdoors, into fishing and hunting? Like how did it all start?
yeah. So yeah, man. So I grew up in northern New Jersey, um, about 2 hours from where we fish, but like, it's a good hour and a half to get down the shore, like into, some of like, places where my dad would go fishing. He never had a boat or nothing, but we'd go out on party boats and friends boats and stuff, doing some saltwater fish. But I grew up in the northern part, like by the Delaware Water Gap, like New York, Pennsylvania, that top New Jersey stuff. We call it pork roll kind of New Jersey. And I'm sorry, not pork roll, Taylor ham.
That was one of my big questions actually. I was going to ask you,
Oh,
call it
cool.
pork roll or Taylor ham, because I'm a Jersey
Yeah,
boy too, and it's a
Taylor ham.
Taylor ham. And I saw that is it still out there, or was it a limited run? You had your own Taylor ham. Like
Yeah, well, we had to call it pork roll.
I mean, is that not every kid from New Jersey's dream, bro? Like,
Oh, and
that's unbelievable.
It's awesome. So it's a collaboration I do with a good buddy of mine from Olympia Provisions out in Portland, Oregon. Makes amazing charcuterie sausage maker, and I was like, man, we got to get together and make Taylor ham. And like, he didn't even know what the hell it was. And I was like, so he tried the original, and like, we couldn't call it Taylor ham because that's like a trademark family name from the Taylor family. But we could call it pork roll. So long story short, we made it with like the best pork in the country / world, as opposed to like the worst pork, which is like what it's made with. But I wanted it to taste like the old, because it's awesome. So yeah, to answer your question, it's still out there. It's awesome, and it's just Olympia Provisions Leone and Sons pork roll. So, yeah,
I got to get some of that.
Yeah, well, I'll have to get you one, man. And yeah, but I grew up in the mountains and up there, the Appalachian Mountain Trail kind of kissed through it there, and did a lot of freshwater, a lot of, bass, pickerel, crappie, catfish. And my dad was like, I really owe it to my dad because he was big into the hunting and fishing, and like we would go frogging and catch snapping turtles and shit like that. And so it was neat. I had friends that we would go, by the time we got a little older, we had like little John boats with like little electric like mini Kodas on it, and we would just go, I lived up in these lake communities where there's all these different like decent lakes, we can go. I wish I'd go now. I'd do a lot better, but like there's really awesome fishing, and it was just a really cool thing to grow up doing and have that little like independence of having like, way before you could have a car, like this rig that you could like drop down by the lake and like be gone for hours and like go explore and do your own shit. Yeah, it's awesome. And it's part of like what made me the guy I am today, right? And like it's not a super rare, uncommon, childhood story, but I'm glad that it was part of mine. And then I got into high school and like stopped fishing and hunting. And,
yeah, me too.
Again, not an uncommon story, and for better or worse. And not until like a little bit later, in my 30s, late 30s, did I start, like mid 30s, start getting really back into the hunting and fishing, and just really loving it. And living up here now, I got a little center console, Grady White, and being able to, I got a little slip for 10 minutes from the house, being able to like just bang out and go fishing on this inshore fishery by me.
Awesome.
Is just, yeah, it's really cool. Bring the kids out. We catch porgy and black sea bass and fluke and stuff and some striped bass. Kids have been having an absolute blast seeing them kind of, warm up to the boat. And then these, even if I catch a big schoolie or a slot size striped bass, I mean, it's like half the size of my kid. It looks like a freaking giant, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, to them, even like a big black sea bass everything's awesome. I mean, hell, I still find it fun. So
Definitely.
like doing that, getting them into the shellfish and hunting and fishing up here is really cool, man.
So coming out of high school, you didn't really go like the conventional route of going right off to college, did you? Because from what I've gathered,
not so much, man. I everyone wanted me to, and like that was the thing to do, and like there's part of me like going to college back then and like leaving your parents, and like I just hated school, but like I loved like the idea of like going and like having like this dorm or whatever people did, or like I don't know, and like made all these like friends that you had for life and shit. Like I'm a little jealous. That sounds great. Like it's like girlfriends from college. Like I didn't have any of that. I just had like, I don't know, man. Like no disrespect, but just like hometown fucking people that weren't really doing much either. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, I don't know. Like I just like, yeah, man. I didn't go to college. I went to a little community college. I didn't know what to do. So I went for criminal justice, and I did that for a little less than a year, and I was like, this ain't it, man. This is a waste of my time and money,
Yeah.
and then just did construction and like jobs like that until I was 27, and from there I was always gardening and cooking and stuff, but from there I took out a loan and found an apartment on Craigslist and started dating a girl who's now my wife, who was living in the city. So like I had like a friend that I could hang out with. It was awesome. So I moved into the city, found an apartment on Craigslist, and took out a loan to go to like a culinary school in Manhattan, kind of a quick program to use as a door opener to get into something outside of restaurants, because I'd
Yeah.
worked in restaurants and stuff, and I didn't want to be like a restaurant chef, and like
Yeah.
great job, and I love it, and it just wasn't. I didn't want to do that, so like my dream was to get like a foot in somewhere else in like this huge culinary space outside of restaurants, and luckily I got an internship with the food magazine Bon Appetit, 10 years ago, at least 10 years ago now, I guess, and then kind of just worked, did that, the food magazine test kitchen thing for a while, and then video became a thing, and it kind of helped me morph into like my own little, I don't know, I hate to say brand, but like brand of person where I'm very embedded in the outdoors. I really really enjoy cooking as well, and they kind of really play well together. So it's been a fun ride.
In between, like, getting to Bon Appetit and all that, what was the worst job that you worked?
Oh yeah, so I mean I've had a ton of jobs. A lot of them sucked in certain ways, but I liked them. Like paving driveways and shit. Like in a way, like it sucked, but like I really kind of liked like just like the very like hands-on kind of stupid work that you did. It was very like hot out. It was like the tannest I ever was, and probably the skinniest. I fucking looked great then, I guess. But like, it was just like an easy job that you worked hard and kept you busy, and like I don't know, that wasn't bad. I guess worst job, man, was one time. It's only lasted like 2 weeks. I had my sister's friend like worked at the Rockaway Mall, and I needed a job, and she got me a job stocking, like doing the back, unloading like the crates that came into Mandy's. I worked in the back room at Mandy's, which is like this like teenage like girls like clothing department store. And like I worked in the back, just like unloading the stock crates, and it was it was horrible, man. I mean, like other than like it was just me and like a bunch of girls working there, which was cool, and like but like other than that, it was absolute garbage job. I hated that, and then I hated. I worked with this guy for a while. We were like just like gutting and totally doing these tear outs on these like inner city, like just like cracked den apartments that like were disgusting, and we had to like go in, and like it was the middle of the summer, so it was like hot and humid in New Jersey, and like tear all that shit out and fucking
God.
sweep up fucking heroin needles and shit.
Good
So like that
times.
one, yeah, that one sucked.
But it sounds
Yeah,
like
I
it
guess,
built
yeah.
character along the way, I mean,
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like I guess it is one of those things you hear people say it, and like that grit in people, or yeah, for sure. I guess if I always just had some real cushy silver spoony job, yeah, I'd certainly be a different person. I think I don't know, yeah, we'll call it character building for sure.
yeah. So let me ask you this. You've achieved like a mass amount of success. How do you manage to remain so humble?
Well, yeah, I guess I don't really. I don't know. I guess I don't. I guess I don't really count this. I don't clock. Measure the success too much. Like I feel like I'm still trying to be honest, still trying to figure it out and quote unquote make it still. I'm still trying to do it, So I mean, just I think we had a good ride, and I always felt like it can. I get maybe because I feel like it can. I don't know. Maybe it's just my personality, but I feel like the second you aren't, and I'm superstitious and believe in like energies and shit. So like I feel like the second you don't feel that way, it's gonna come and catch you. It's gonna catch up to you.
Definitely.
It's like swimming with the sharks. I don't know. Like you start going in there thinking you're the fucking Mr. Big Dick Predator, like sharks. Sharks ain't got nothing on you. I feel like that's when these tax man's gonna come put you in check with his mouth.
Yeah.
So again, that's a lot of just superstition, but that's how I feel, and I'm going with it. It's been working out so far.
It's alive, going places. Is that the main project right now?
Yeah. So I mean, I kind of yes and no. So we're making with Bon Appetit. I had been under contract with them for a bunch of years, and we've been pretty exclusive. We had a ton of episodes with It's Alive. Like over 100. So I think now we've shot a pilot for a new show that we'll see when it comes out. But it was like kind of like where Going Places was like where I go and get embedded in a food scene or a restaurant or a place or an activity and kind of tell the story and get hands on and involved and stuff like that, which I love doing. So we'll see how that comes, and then down the line, I got come next year. I'll be able to make my own YouTube channel, which I plan on doing, which I'm doing. I got a little studio up here. Yeah. And just being able to do kind of like where It's Alive kind of stops, like projects, both in the kitchen and out in the field, telling stories, going and just doing stuff and showing stuff and meeting people and doing it, and sharing it with an audience, which I always love doing because it feels like, I feel like I'm just like the viewer. We're going on this trip together. We can kind of, I'm learning. Hopefully you're learning. And we're both laughing. I think I'm looking forward to it.
Have there ever been any shows where things just like weren't going right in terms of, the production of it? Like shows where you're like,
I mean,
where you like watch it back and you're like, how did this come out so good? Like that was a disaster.
Yeah, all the time, man. I mean, not so much anymore, but like maybe just because it's, we have a good stride and a good team, but like, oh my God, there's been countless times where like after shooting, I'll look at like the guy I'm shooting with, or who also used to edit or whatever. I'm like, is any of that usable? I feel like that was just like 3 hours of me of dog shit, and then the way it gets edited and put together, and the overall, it's all about keeping having a good story and having a vision. But the way things come together, yeah, I've been surprised all the time. And like, and you do. I mean, speaking for myself, when I'm on camera, sometimes, even though I know what we got and I know in the moment I'm thinking about it, but like afterwards, it kind of, I feel like it's like almost like a blur. Like sometimes you just kind of you get in it and like it's hard to recall. So like the actual day sometimes. So it's nice to be able to, when you do see it come together as, from 4 hours to 17 minutes, like so much good stuff gets cut. So much bad stuff definitely gets cut as well. But like, it's cool to always see it come into, we've never shot something and had to be like, yeah, that's definitely can't do anything with that. Like that's looks like that was a waste. You know what I mean? Like, so I guess it's mostly in my head. But yeah, man, it's always cool to see the package come together.
Do you ever get nervous before shooting, or is this kind of just like second nature to you at this point?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, certain, I guess, certain times, I guess, certain nervousnesses, when it's like, or when shit just doesn't, but I mean, that's the way I like to shoot is kind of very approachable and very relatable. I mean, like if something goes wrong, it happens, I mean, I don't like to have just a perfect video, and that's not just covering my ass because I'm not perfect, but like nothing is, food isn't, cooking isn't, fishing isn't, so like being able to kind of roll with the punches a little, I find it refreshing to make and then also to watch. I think that's cool. especially with cooking, because like I don't care what anyone says. Like shit goes wrong, shit happens. Every cook in the world fucks things up, and like to portray it in a video world where it's absolutely never, you know what I mean? Like again, it can be very informative and educational, and I'm not always the best for that, but like especially when it comes to recipes, I'm not a huge recipe guy, but like I like cooking, and I can show you how to do stuff, and you know, and we can all kind of learn and grow and have a good time doing it together.
Yeah, definitely. Have you had any mentors along the way?
Sure. I mean, I guess I've never. I can't like. I guess it's just like in a bunch of different categories, in little takeaways and stuff like that. I don't think I have like a person who's like been my like mentor on one thing for like every or something like this one guy that's always just taught me so much about everything. I
Yeah.
mean, there's certainly a bunch of people like that, and I guess I'm fortunate to over the years have made so many really awesome friends and super talented friends that are good at a lot of things. So like being kind of be able to touch and be versed in a bunch of stuff has been really awesome. People always like to knock on, jack of all trades, a master of none. But I'll butcher this, but like that whole saying is a little longer, I believe, and it goes. It's something like jack of all trades is a master of none, but still more valuable than a master of one.
I like
You know
that.
what I mean? So yeah, so like being able to know how to do a bunch of stuff well, not like I'm the Zero James the sushi thing, right? I'm just going to put it into one thing. I like being versed in a bunch, and I could, if I spent more time and energy on two things instead of five, sure, I'd probably be better at those two things. But I like being able to do a bunch. Maybe I'll whittle it down when I get older.
So you've got a book out called Field Notes for Food Adventure. Now, what went into writing this? This is an awesome book you have here.
Thank you, man. So yeah, it's been it was a fun project. I wrote it all, which was a really fun experience. It was a lot of work, but like I enjoyed the process. The process of making it was really cool. It's a book about food, but it's also like an outdoor adventure kind of journal, man. Like it was shot over a year, during the first year of COVID, which brought some challenges. But every chapter is a different location and like a different activity or event, whether it's like fly fishing or mushroom foraging or making sausage with my dad, like deer hunting and stuff like that. So we got to shoot. It was kind of, I liked it, but it was a pain in the ass because every chapter was like its own little book, but I'm glad we did. It was a fun project. I made my buddy Pat O'Malley. He shot it, shot all the pictures for it, which is really cool because he's a really fun, close buddy of mine.
Yeah, the pictures are epic.
Yeah, we met in New York. He doesn't shoot food at all. He's not like a food photographer. But we met in New York. We became really good friends over the years, and we did a lot of this kind of stuff together already. And I really like his photos, so I was like, let me get Pat. We travel well together. We can get into shit together, which is great. And we shot the whole book together, man. It did well. Became a little New York Times bestseller, which was cool. Yeah, and just the process alone was a lot of fun. So a lot of bunch of different chapters. Like I said, each one focusing on different things, but all tied back into cooking and storytelling and really cool pictures. I wanted to make a book that was more than just food and recipes shot in the studio or it's like it's all over the place. There's a ramp. We had a whole chapter on ramps and whole chapter on maple syrup that we shot. And it takes place from New Jersey to Maine. And it was a freaking blast, and it's how I fell in love with the area I live in now. Good friends of mine now, but at the time, these guys that I met who own some restaurants up here, up in Mystic, Connecticut, Oyster Club and Engine Room, and and Port of Call. Just buddy of mine, he was really embedded in the fishing up here. Had a boat, really super generous, especially then. I wasn't like we were just getting to know each other, and he would put me up at his farmhouse right in town and bring me out on his boat and fucking, you know what I mean? Like never took $1 from me. I mean, we're really good friends now and we live close to each other. But good old Danny boy, thank you, Dan. And yeah, but he helped me fall in love with the area among that and a couple other folks. And yeah, man, just working on the fishing and mushroom foraging up here. And and then we ended up moving the family up here, and it's great. We got a old farmhouse as well. Like I said, 10 minutes from the boat. We got a bunch of land it's great. Freshwater fishing up here is awesome too, man. Great lakes and great trout fishing. And
Yeah, I was going to ask you a
really,
bit about your experiences with trout fishing because, from my understanding, that seems to be one of your favorite fish to catch.
yeah, I love them, man. I like eating them too. I mean, I release most, but every now and then I'll eat one. But
Yeah, I was going to ask you
whatever.
about the your process of smoking the trout that you get and like what goes into all that.
Yeah, so I mean, trout fishing up here is great. Rhode Island, New Hampshire's got some good fishing. Connecticut, I got a couple creeks that I could, basically ride a bike to around here that they stock, and there's also a bunch of wild brookies. And then there's Great Lakes, man, that I haven't really even dabbled into yet. But there's some big fish. I did a little ice fishing this year, which was awesome. I know you're into that too, man.
Yeah,
I'll get back in. I'll get back in the freshwater a little bit, but the saltwater it's just been epic. But yeah, smoked trout. Yeah, I got a recipe in the book too, man. But I use maple syrup, and then from there, I use a little soy sauce, and then from there you can kind of just pick whatever little flavor profile you want. Some herbs, some garlic, a little onion powder, a little garlic powder, pepper. I know some folks put a little Worcestershire in there, some hot sauce. I like to add a little sugar too, but whether the maple syrup or not. And then I just you let them marinate for a day and a half, 2 days, and then I smoke them low and slow. Yeah, I like them on the drier side. Like where the fat kind of renders and the skin just kind of like almost just like is like draped on. You can just like peel it off. You know
yeah.
what I mean? And then yeah, at that point, I mean, you're dealing with some top shelf table fare. And speaking of just eating fish and stuff like that, I've been really fortunate. I got a walk-in fridge now, so like I take at my house, and I built. So like when I catch fish now, man, especially like say something like a bluefish or a fluke or a striped bass or whatever the hell it is, bonita, tuna, um, on the boat, bleed it out, cut the gills, get the blood out, and then I scale the fish, and I don't even put it on like I don't even really put it on ice anymore. I just use like ice packs, and like I just never introduce it to fresh water or water for that matter. I scale it, and then I bring it back and I hang it for like a minimum couple days, but I go, a week or 3, 4, 5 days. I've gone a little bit longer just experimenting, but like 3, 4 days, man, the texture, everything about the fish just gets better.
Do you think the ice pack thing, as opposed to natural ice, like makes a big difference?
I think so, man. I mean, like, again, you got like you're offshore, you're catching these tuna, you're never really like, you know, mostly the flesh. Like, and then they got their skin on still and they're whole and they're intact. You're not really doing too much damage. You know what I mean? Like, although I must say, like, perfect example, like a mackerel. Like you pull up an Atlantic mackerel, it's just gorgeous, beautiful, like colored, striped, kind of crazy design looking fish. Beautiful, vibrant colors. You put that thing on ice, it all kind of goes to the shit. But I've noticed if you put it on ice packs and not directly, I'll put like a one thin towel down and then all ice packs underneath it. They hold that like magnificent color pattern, and they don't get all like botchy and white and weird.
Hmm.
Um, and they just react really, especially freshwater. I mean, it's nothing about that fish is ever in fresh water. You know what I mean? Like, in fact, it
Yeah.
would kill it. So like, and like, but whole fish, you can whatever. That's me kind of splitting hairs. But like mostly, like if you're gonna fillet a fish, it should never touch. You don't ever hose it down with fucking fresh water. I see these guys doing that, and I'm cringing. Um, or like for that, I just keep it nice and dry and nice and cool. and bleed it out, and then the texture and the shine and the flavor. It's just you can't. It's unbelievable. Like I have a hard time getting fish from like good fish markets.
Yeah.
Like I'm really dialed in and spoiled on that, and I'm still learning, and I'm still learning, which is great. But like treating your fish, getting bleeding it and getting it cold quick, and not just banging around and beating itself up on the deck while you go and try to catch another one.
Yeah.
Deal with the one you caught, and then
Yeah, it's easy to get a little excited out there.
hey,
Though.
catching them is usually catching them. I mean, not always, but catching them is the easy part. Catching them, the work starts.
Yep.
Once after that,
Definitely.
hell, just like hunting or just like anything like that. It's easy to go shoot a deer, and then you got to deal with it.
Yep, that's when the work starts, just like you said.
And that's when people go wrong. Oh, I don't like fish. Oh, I don't like deer, or it's real gamey, or it's real fishy. Like it really, really, really shouldn't be. It's all usually goes wrong in how the animal or the fish was handled or butchered. You know what I mean? That's when things get funky.
Yeah. So I'm guessing you have a good recipe for bluefish then? It sounds like you like to eat those.
I'll eat them raw, man. You just gotta
Really?
the most important thing is the handling. Especially when you get into these softer, oily, traditionally quick expiring, greasy, nasty fish. That ain't the case. Like you got to take care of them. They are delicate. A mackerel or bluefish, it's not going to be a flaky white halibut, or it's going to be or a tog or something. It's your species. They're going to be different experiences, but I really see how you treat them coming through on sensitive fish like that. Like I've seen bluefish in meat cases or on people's tables where it looks like shit, man. It looks like gray, blue, red, not nice. But that's just because how it was treated. I have taken decent sized bluefish down to smaller sized ones, bleed them, treat them the way I told you. I don't go hanging the bluefish. I feel like that's something you can kind of get away with. You want to eat that thing fast.
Yeah.
Although I haven't done it yet. It might be phenomenal. But the most important thing is get the blood out. I cooked the whole bluefish last year that I bled. It was sat in the fridge for 2 days, properly stored, not sitting on water and ice or shit like that. And like, I cooked it whole and then just started flaking the meat off. And I'm not going to say it was like, black sea bass white, but it was pretty damn off white. It was like blew me away how much it didn't resemble traditional. I would just cook it with less is more. I mean, it's great seared, like blasted on high heat until it's like until it's still raw, but pick up a quick char on it. And then I like to big steaks of it or fillets of it, and then stew it in tomatoes with garlic and herbs. I think it comes out really, really delicious, especially for people who aren't super keen on that type of fish. It's delicious. Like that's the way my mom kind of cooked it similarly when I was growing up. Just like wrapped it in foil with like canned tomatoes and garlic and put it on the grill and just baked it like that. And it's phenomenal. The acid kind of cuts the oiliness that you're usually used to. And other than that, man, I cook it like any other fish: olive oil, salt, pepper, some herbs. I cook it on the flat top, either whole or in fillets or steaks, and it's delicious. But it doesn't really sit around well. It doesn't age well. I don't need 20 of them. I don't. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I eat them here and there. They're fun as hell to catch. But yeah, oh my god, I could write a book on bluefish. I think they're the coyotes. They're the coyotes of the sea. Everyone likes to shit on them, but they're super important and they're awesome.
Yeah, they are. I love blues. What do you think the best tasting fish you've ever had is?
Ooh, best tasting fish. I mean, man, I don't know. I have a hard time with favorites and best because I've had a lot of them, and it's like, yeah, I guess some of the best fish. I mean, some of the obvious classics, like when they're done right, like, you can't beat collars on almost any fish, like a real good man. Like you get, yeah, good collar. But you can't. I mean, tuna's delicious. You get some really nice fatty belly or collar on a tuna. Like it's hard to be. Swordfish is really hard to fuck with. You know,
Have you tried
it's kind
wahoo?
of a. I've had wahoo. I've only had it smoked. I haven't had it fresh.
Oh man, that is my favorite, bro.
Awesome.
So good.
Really?
Sashimi,
Yeah.
all any way you want to do it, but raw
Just kind of a
wahoo is just
firm.
so good.
Yeah. Maybe I have. I'm not sure anymore. But like, yeah, I guess it comes down to just like when it's good, it's good. I can't harp on it enough. It usually stems from how it was treated as well. I mean, as well as the waters it came from, but like how it was treated from the second it like bit the hook, as opposed to like sitting in some big trawler net, like that fish gets beat up,
Yeah.
But I love a good belly, man. Like the way I break down a fish, if I'm gonna fillet it, like I take the main fillet and then I separate the belly from the main fillet. So the belly I cook individually, and then I section out in the collar, and I do that to both sides. And you're left with some really neat, different kind of pieces of meat that you can kind of like cook like different steaks. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And that's phenomenal, man. I mean, the mahi was great. I had a couple slot striped bass this year that were, when I bled them and hung them, like it blew me away how good they were. Um, blackfish and tog, they're kind of hard to beat, man. They're delicious. Good black sea bass. I mean, I like them all, man. That's the problem. I'm still convinced there's a way to cook bunker, but
Any crazy stories from the road lately? I know you're constantly traveling.
um, oh man, a good fishing one. Just to keep it right on theme. I was out. It's fortunate I was out doing some fishing with some friends from Huckberry, and we were out in Wyoming, outside of Sheridan, Wyoming, and my buddies got me put up on this river, man, fly fishing for rainbows and cutthroats and cutbows and a lot of brown trout. But we got on this part of this river on the Powder River up, and they got like into these crazy red canyons, and on this private stretch of this river that no one really hasn't fished in a while. These guys kind of manage it, and man, it was unbelievable. The fishing, I probably in a half a day, I probably caught 60 wild trout. It was just like, and I learned so much from the guy who I was fishing with. Like we were catching trout in places I would have walked right past.
Wow.
And yeah, like these little, it's just different systems. And just learning where these fish are and how they're operating, and guys that really really know their shit with the fly fishing. I'm self-taught, less than 5 years ago,
Wow.
and yeah, I feel like I've gotten pretty good at it. But like in the world, in that rabbit hole of knowledge, I mean, I'm as green as they get.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into that whole fly fishing
It's
world.
insane.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's insane. So like I don't know if it's a crazy story but or wild one, but like the amount of fishing and how much I took away from it, and just the beauty of that country up there was awesome.
That sounds amazing. Just like a totally untouched piece of river, and you guys just had it
Yeah,
all
and
to yourselves.
I guess in Sheridan, yeah, exactly. And Sheridan is a really neat town, really nice people. We did some cool stuff in there and did a bit of drinking, and it was a blast.
So, what motivates you to keep going? I mean, do you ever wonder, like, what am I going to do next? Like, I've gone to all these
Yeah, I
places,
mean,
I've filmed all this stuff. Like, how do you keep it fresh and keep coming up with new ideas?
yeah, thankfully the creative aspect is usually the easiest for me. As far as coming up with shit to do, it's more like how you're gonna pay for it and make a living doing it, right? So like, what motivates me is I don't want to go back to paving roads and cleaning up crack dens and shit.
Yeah.
Like so, all jokes aside, but I think I got kids and stuff, and I really enjoy doing what I do. So like, I feel myself getting better at it, and sort of like be able to keep this going and get better at it. I think, yeah, man, I'm gonna try my ass off.
So, what are some bucket list trips that you've yet to go on that you're really trying to do?
Yeah, oh man, that list too is getting obnoxiously long. But yeah, so an upcoming one, which I'm really stoked about, I'm going to be going up and doing maybe a moose hunt and some fishing with one of my favorite guys, Jeremy Charles. He's a chef and a fantastic angler up in not Nova Scotia, up in Newfoundland. And
Wow. Moose hunting.
yeah, go up there. Yeah, and then go up to Labrador and maybe go chase salmon and Arctic char. And then you maybe do a moose hunt, and it's like you got to go in with a helicopter, and there's like polar bears and shit. So like, but this guy's dialed in. He's a legend, man. Like if you don't give him a follow on the social medias, Jeremy Charles, he's fantastic.
So have you ever harpooned a fish?
I had a harpoon. Let me think here. Let me think about legalities real quick. No, I'm just kidding. No, I haven't. I haven't harpooned. I've never harpooned a fish. I see guys like do it with like swordfish and shit, like on the surface. That seems pretty wild.
Yeah, with the spotter planes.
Yeah, I wouldn't. That's pretty crazy. I wouldn't mind like tridenting like a flatfish or something. I know you boys down south do that shit. Like go out at night and fucking trident flatfish or something.
Oh yeah, with the lights on and everything on the boat.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like it's just grocery shopping.
Fish?
No, I was just thinking about, some of these big fish you caught. I was looking on your Instagram, and I saw that big tuna you caught, and in the caption you mentioned like you just tail wrapped it, and I guess that goes back into the handling of the fish, right? I mean, do you think that if you had harpooned that tuna, it wouldn't have tasted as good?
Oh yeah, I mean, just as far as like getting it on the boat harpoon, yeah, never, dude. If you can avoid that, hell, I mean, we didn't even have to gaff that fish. It was a miracle. She just came right up and it was like, fuck it. After we fought her for 2 hours, but like eventually she swam right up and just kind of laid there. Right before we gaffed, he was about to gaff him. He was like, he just threw the tail rope on, and then it was game on, man. That fish didn't have a hole in it. So I mean, if you could. Yeah, the less you can beat it up and hurt it, the better. Hell yeah.
Yeah. So you've logged a lot of time in the outdoors. Have there ever been any like sketchy situations that you found yourself in where you're like, wow, I might have to get out of here?
But I remember coming back from that one spearfishing trip with my friend Vin. It was the first time I did the mahi out there with him. It might have even been the first time he did it too. We went out there and we were around like the tip of we were 40 miles, I'm guessing, maybe I'm wrong, 40, 50 miles off of Montauk. And I remember like the weather started picking up, and like, this is before I started running my boat and getting used to the water. I still would have been fucking out of my league. But like when we were passing Montauk, or just about to, like the weather got nasty. There was a storm rolling in. And like he's my buddy Vin. He's dialed in. He knows what's going on with the weather, and he grew up doing this stuff. So like he wasn't scared. But like we went through this one section with these waves, and I was just like, if it was just me driving the boat, I'd have been fucking popping flares and calling the Coast Guard. But like but he just like he was focused and knew his shit, but he got us right through it. And like that, that scared me. That was a little white knuckle for a moment.
A little sketchy for a minute or two.
Yeah, the ocean is just it's unforgiving and so it's just, I mean, outdoors can really get very dangerous and scary. It comes down to having good gear. Yeah, having good gear and knowing your shit, man, because no matter how much you spend or how much you talk about it, when you're out there, nature doesn't give a fuck, and you can't fake it.
She doesn't care at all. One time, my first tuna trip out there, we got hit head on by a rogue wave, and the entire 37-foot Jupiter center console was under the Atlantic Ocean. It was insane.
Stop.
Yeah. Yeah, it was
like
we went over
under it. Like it just like ducked over and went over.
He floored it into it. He floored it into it so we wouldn't capsize, and we kind of went through the wave like a giant torpedo.
Did you guys? I'm guessing. I'm sure everything was fucked, but like you guys drove out of there.
We kept fishing.
Oh, right on. Cool.
The guy was a nut. He had both of his outriggers bent back at like 90-degree angles. Like all the glass was shattered out. Like the whole boat was blown out, but the radio still worked, and it was his birthday, and he wanted to keep fishing. And then we got back to the dock I never fished with this guy again. We got back to the dock and he cracked a joke about how we were lucky that we didn't really go down because he didn't even have the life raft on the boat that day.
Oh, for sure. That sounds like it was fucking. sounds like Cap got lucky there himself.
We all got lucky, bro. I would have been
fucking
sending gone.
Consoles, sending center consoles like they're nuclear subs. Yeah, that ain't a good idea.
And then we popped up and he looks at me and starts laughing like a psychopath. I was like, oh my God.
Because he is a psychopath. Yeah. Exactly. I mean, there's some of the best guys out there, but don't mistake it. He's a fucking psycho.
Lunatics, bro. Absolute lunatics out there.
I feel like 90% of the guys out there are either psychopaths or rich people, you know?
Or both, yeah.
Or both, yeah. Yeah, good call.
Definitely. If you were to give any advice to someone who's up and coming in the outdoor entertainment industry, what advice would you give to them?
Yeah, I guess two things, man. Just like, you know, be nice to people. You know, I feel like that's gone a long way for me as far as career goes. Like, be someone that people want to work with, and then be good. There's a lot. I don't know. There's a lot of noise out there. There's a lot of people out there. So, like, I guess just, you know, remember that, and if you go, you know, just try to, whatever you're gonna do, try to do it well. I guess, you know, and try to get better at it. And I guess, you know, it would be to start. You know, like my situation was a little unique where it kind of, you know, happened within a company and kind of evolved and morphed into something. You know, I can only imagine like having like no fan base and like wanting to just start a YouTube show and bust through all that. When I say noise, I just mean other people doing it. You know, you'd have to, I think the biggest takeaway, and I didn't have to do this, but I guess it's what I would have to do and what I would want someone to tell me is like, just start it, you know, and I think I just get something going and see what happens with it, you know what I mean? Like, and grow with it, you know, out of the gate, like, you know, the first pancake's never the best. I remember the first episode I ever shot, I thought it was a piece of shit and like, couldn't believe that, like, this is what we're doing. And as it evolved and morphed and as I, you know, grew and changed, it becomes something else and different that you can, you know, I think it would just be, just start.
Just do it.
Yeah, exactly, man.
Awesome stuff, Brad. Thank you so much for calling in, man. Really appreciate it.
Hey, thanks, man. Thanks for having me on. Love the brand, dude. And let's go fishing soon, man. I'll have you up on the YouTube show.
Let's make
Just
it happen.
waiting for you to do.